It is Saturday, September 27th, and a major crackdown is now underway to seek and destroy the domestic terror group known as Antifa, with a primary focus on their home base of operations, where a lot of people believe Antifa's home base is located, Portland, Oregon. President Trump giving orders this morning to the Secretary of War to eliminate the Atlanta chapter and make Portland safe again. We're going to show you what's happening, what's about to happen in Portland, Oregon. Also, AG Pam Bondi announcing James Comey is only the first in a round of indictments that are coming. Lisa Monaco, James Clapper, John Brennan, and others who are still in government in positions of authority may soon be indicted, and they know it. They're lawyering up. We're going to show you that and more stories as well from around the country.
And we continue to follow our breaking news. Just a short time ago, President Trump announcing on Truth Social that he is sending troops to Portland, Oregon to protect ICE facilities. Now, Portland is just the latest Democratic-run city that the president has either sent or threatened to send troops to in his growing crackdown on immigration and on crime.
President Trump this morning ordering his Department of War to dispatch all necessary troops to Portland, Oregon to take the city back and safeguard all federal personnel. Trump confirming that he has authorized full force if necessary. That's what he's calling it. Writing on Truth Social, at the request of the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, I'm directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from the attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Portland, Oregon is a hotbed, folks, of Antifa operations. Some believing Portland may have the largest Antifa presence anywhere in the country, possibly in the world, because realize Antifa is not a U.S. central organization. It was kind of spun off from their European roots. That's where it originally came from. People love to say that Antifa is this completely decentralized organization, that there's no leadership, that it's like an amorphous type group. But that's not what we're hearing. Antifa, they have foot soldiers. Then they have this military faction that trains the foot soldiers. And then you have the funding mechanism, the NGOs, possibly the Soroses, politicians, the media who defend these people. The last few nights, these domestic terrorists went into overdrive, firebombing vehicles, including rapper Ice Cube's tour bus. Ice Cube, who was minding his own business, visiting Portland, and this is what's left of his decked-out bus, folks. Unbelievable. Last night, these people launching smoke grenades into an ICE detention facility in Portland, launching fireworks at ICE officers, and consistently attacking federal law enforcement and federal property. From what we understand, the criminal conspiracy case into this is much further along than people realize. Pam Bondi launched this new joint terror task force, this special operation specifically designed for Antifa. The task force, they're focusing on Antifa, locating their members, affiliates, collaborators, funders. And look, she says they are seeking the most serious available charges against all of their participants.
We're witnessing a new era of political violence. Assassins have tried to murder President Trump twice and tried to kill Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. In Minnesota, legislators and even children attending Mass were gunned down in cold blood in 2 separate incidents. And an assassin targeted and murdered our friend Charlie Kirk. A sniper shot 3 people at a Texas ICE facility, and now more than 200 violent rioters were at a Chicago ICE facility chanting, "Arrest ICE, shoot ICE." At least one had a gun. We've seen this before. We saw it in Portland and with the LA riots. These are not peaceful protests. These are coordinated attacks by radical extremists, and they end now. Anyone who threatens or assaults our federal officers will be arrested and charged federally, not in some liberal state court. Same goes for anyone who's funding and aiding these extremists. You will be dismantled brick by brick. We are taking our country back. Make America safe again.
Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, referring to these attacks as domestic terror sedition against the federal government and warning If you're part of this group, you will regret it for the rest of your life. And he's serious. They are coming after these people. Watch.
And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics. Steve, could you say a couple of words about it, please?
This is a very historic and significant day. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, to dismantle Antifa, to dismantle the organizations that have been carrying out these acts of political violence and terrorism. What we have seen, if you look at whether it be going back to the riots that started with Black Lives Matter and all the way through to the Antifa riots, the attacks on ICE officers, the doxing campaigns, and now the political assassinations, these are not lone, isolated events. This is part of an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. It is structured, it is sophisticated, it is well funded, it is well planned. There is really no parallel like this to anything else in the country right now. There is an entire system of feeder organizations that provide money, resources, weapons, and when they're attacking ICE officers, they're attacking federal buildings, or they're isolating public officials for harassment, doxing, intimidation, and ultimately attempted assassination. It is all carefully planned, executed, and thought through. It is terrorism on our soil. Because of this executive order, Cash and Pam are going to have the tools they need, working with Scott, to take these organizations apart piece by piece. And the central hub of that effort is going to be the Joint Terrorism Task Force, or JTTF, which sits inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation. But for those at home who are worried about terrorism in this country, they need to understand, because of President Trump's strength, because of his vision, because of his leadership, we are now going to use the entire force of the federal government to uproot these organizations root and branch. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump and his leadership.
And already we're seeing this crackdown working. Portland Antifa members running scared, frantically erasing their criminal trails off social media. Blue Sky Antifa, that big Blue Sky account that kind of organizes a lot of this, has alerted their comrades to scrub any evidence from their past and lawyer up, the account says, posting lawyer up. I cannot stress this enough, and strap up. The off-duty badge and their piss boy cosplay fascist goons will be real emboldened now. Arm yourself while you still can and train, and have a bug-out bag and a safe house, and be ready to tear ass out of town at a moment's notice. Adding, lawyer up. I cannot stress this enough. Offload your pets, your valuables, and your heirlooms to a trusted, safe location. Then one of Antifa's most prominent public members, a ringleader of sorts, Alyssa Azar, just deleted her social media accounts completely. Scrubbed them clean. They are worried, folks. They realize that the Trump administration, this special task force, the DOJ, isn't messing around anymore. They consider these people domestic terrorists, and they're going to charge them as such, treat them as such. Meanwhile, the president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, the current president, came to New York the other day to attend the UN General Assembly and decided it was a good idea to join in an anti-ICE protest, was recorded issuing this call to U.S. soldiers. Disobey Trump's orders, he said. Obey the order instead of humanity. Watch this.
Las naciones del mundo entonces aportarán hombres y mujeres entrenados y armados para configurar ese gran ejército.
The people and the nation should be involved to create this great army.
Tiene que ser más grande que el de los Estados Unidos. Por eso, desde aquí, desde Nueva York, le pido a todos los soldados del ejército de los Estados Unidos no apuntar contra la humanidad sus fusiles.
Then I ask from New York, I ask to all the soldiers of the USA Army, don't put your hands against the people, not against the humanity.
Desobedezcan la orden de Trump. Obedezcan la orden de la humanidad.
Disobey the Trump's order. Obey the order of humanity.
That's the head of state for Colombia, instructing U.S. soldiers on U.S. soil to disobey their commander-in-chief. Colombia is supposed to be an ally of the United States. Instead, their president comes into our country and incites unrest. Well, this morning, Secretary of State Marco Rubio officially revoking Petro's visa No longer can the president of Colombia travel into the United States. And this isn't the first skirmish that we've had with Colombia either. We've been reporting recently on the Trump administration's war on the drug cartels. We've been asking the question, why are they so focused on Venezuela when the majority of cartel strongholds are located in Colombia and Mexico? Well, it turns out the Colombia government's official position on cartel interdiction has been to completely ignore us. We've been trying to work with Mexico and Colombia, but their governments are just not interested. They don't want to talk to us about it. Marco Rubio with Colombia, he's reached out half a dozen times reportedly to discuss creating a joint effort on rooting out the cartels in Colombia, and in response, nothing, crickets. Won't even return the phone call. Let me know what you think about this. Does this sound like an ally to you? Not to me. Look, this fight is global, folks. You have countries in Latin America that are on real America's side, like President Bukele of El Salvador. You have President Milei of Argentina, countries who the Biden administration called authoritarian. Then you have other countries, traditional U.S. allies, Mexico, Colombia, who are fighting back against the Trump administration, not helping us at all. This is all about a war on globalism. There's a deeper fight happening here, a deeper struggle. In another story, FBI Director Kash Patel speaking out this morning, defending the FBI and dismissing claims that the Bureau has become more politicized under his watch. Kash reminding Americans, when you're watching the media this weekend, keep an eye out for who the people are who are screaming about weaponization, writing, career FBI agents, intel analysts, and staff led the investigation into Comey and others. They called the balls and strikes and will continue to do so. The wildly false accusations attacking this FBI for the politicization of law enforcement comes from the same bankrupt media that sold the world on Russiagate. It's hypocrisy on steroids. You have people like John Brennan who are going out there claiming that Trump's weaponizing the DOJ, that this is a sad day in American history after Comey was indicted. This is the same guy who was the chief architect of Russiagate. Watch what he said.
Well, I think certainly it has undermined confidence in the U.S. judicial system or the Department of Justice, first and foremost, because he's using now prosecutions against individuals. But also, I think it makes the individuals within the CIA and the FBI really worry about what it is that a president of the United States may be directing them to do. He doesn't follow not just norms and traditions, but also he pushes the boundaries as far as presidential executive authority. And so I really do think, in talking to a number of people, either recently retired or still in government, they really are questioning whether or not this is what they signed up for and whether or not they can fulfill their obligations, their oath of office, in a way that is consistent with their values and the foundational principles, again, of this country.
Again, that was John Brennan, former director of CIA under Obama and one of the chief architects of Russiagate. For years, we've been hearing that Brennan was using his position not only to cheerlead for Democrats, but to actively help shape domestic political outcomes. And this morning, guess what? We now know that is true. John Solomon releasing this newly discovered email, which you can see here, received via FOIA. This is an email from John Brennan to former CIA Director Mike Morrell that says this, and I quote, "Can I add your name to this list? We'll be adding others as well, like Leon Panetta, Sue Gordon, Lisa Monaco, Mike Rogers, and lots of other IC career folk trying to give the Biden campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point to push back on Trump with this issue."
A short while ago, Just the News obtained this email. This is a very important email. It comes from the former CIA Director, Mike Morrell. Yes, the guy that organized that letter from the 51 intelligence professionals who tried to fake you into thinking that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation when it wasn't. It is between him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know who John Brennan is? He was Obama's CIA director, right? He's the guy that told Obama, hey, Hillary Clinton is doing a dirty trick on Donald Trump called Russia collusion. Well, this is just before the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop is flinging out there. This is what Mike Morrell, former CIA director, tells his successor, John Brennan. Hey, sign this letter because I'm, quote, trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, a talking point. to push back on Trump on this issue. A man with a security clearance, a man with the title of CIA director, knew that he wasn't creating an intelligence product, a mere civic duty with 51 people. He was trying to create a political moment. Damning evidence. We'll try to find out if Congress has this letter, but this is a very important piece. It is the ultimate proof that what went out on that letter was a political dirty trick coordinated with the Biden campaign.
Directors of CIA helping to create talking points for the Democrat Party, for presidential nominee Joe Biden to hurt Donald Trump. Can you say weaponized intel community? How much more in your face can it get? So, look, when you hear these people defending James Comey, claiming the DOJ is weaponized now under Donald Trump, take it with a grain of salt. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.